We're talking stitches today on Sew at Home Party. I'm introducing a new playlist. Stay tuned and find out what it is. Welcome back, Sew at Home Party viewers, and welcome to a new playlist that I'm launching on my channel called Stitch Weekly. This will be a playlist, and it will start off with simple stitches in the beginning, just for all of those who are watching that are new to the channel or new to crochet. And then we will get into some more stitches that are more advanced as we move forward in the playlist. But I hope this is something you will enjoy. And like I said, to the ones who are more advanced, just stay tuned and continue watching, because I will be uploading. My goal is to have just like the name says, a video posted weekly on new stitches that you can use for your craft projects or your crochet projects. So for this one will be a little bit longer than some, because I want to get through some of the basics so we can get into some other cooler stitches that we have. So I made these little swatches, and you can see that we start off here with the single crochet, and then we have the front loop single crochet, the back loop single crochet, and the front and back loop single crochet. And you can see some of the examples of how I kind of broke them up with this blue thread here, but I just wanted to show you a sample swatch of what that looks like. And then we have the the alternate single crochet, the half double crochet, the double crochet, and the treble crochet. Now I do know that for some of our overseas viewers, like in the UK and that, I think they call this the treble there. But since I'm here in Michigan and in the USA, I will be referring to it as the double crochet and the treble crochet up here. So those are my swatches, and as you can see in the beginning of the video, you can zoom in for more detail, and I'll insert a picture here. So those were just an example piece of how these work, so you can zoom in and kind of see what they look like. So let me grab a hook and some thread, and we will get started. Alright, so for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be using, and I'm trying to see if I can get this to focus. Probably not, because my light is like right in the way. See if I get it up here. Focus. There we go. I'm going to be using a G size 6 or 4.25 millimeter hook. And I just grabbed some of my basic neutral, just a basic worsted weight number 4 yarn. So let me find the end here. Like I said, eventually we'll get into more complicated stitches, but for the first part I wanted to make sure I had these basic stitches, so that they're a staple in case anybody would like to go back and learn the basics when they come to the channel if they're new to crochet. So to start off, you're going to make your slip knot just like you would in any type of crochet or knitting. So I just make a slip knot by wrapping the yarn around my fingers, making them cross in the back. Pull this over, pull this one up, and then pulling my fingers out, and insert my hook in this top loop, and then just tighten it up. And that is what works for me. Now try not to tighten this too tight, because it can get stuck on your hook. Alright, so to begin, you're going to take we're going to make a chain, and we're just going to make a sample swatch. So we're just going to chain 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So your chain should look something like this. Now for each one of these Stitch Weeklies, I will make a sample swatch so you can see the stitches ahead of time. And I may reference back to them from time to time. And then, but you can always pause the video and zoom in closer if you'd like. And then I'll show you from those swatches how to do each one so that you can create them into your own project. I'm probably not going to make projects with each one. I mean, randomly I might, but for the tutorial purposes, I will just make swatches of each so that you can see how the stitch is supposed to look. Okay, so what we're going to do is the first stitch that we're going to do today is the single crochet. Oops, focus, okay. Single crochet. That is this stitch here, and this is what it looks like. This right here would be your chain row here. So we're going to start with this single crochet. So we're going to take our chain, and you're going to take your hook and place it into the second loop from your hook. So this is 1 and this would be 2. So you're going to insert your hook into the second chain from the hook, yarn over, and pull through. And you have created your first single crochet. So let's do that again. Insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over the hook, pull through, yarn over the hook, and pull through 2. So this is what it should look like so far. And let's do that one more time. You're going to take your hook, you're going to insert it into the next chain, yarn over the hook, pull through, yarn over the hook, and pull through 2. So I'm going to pause right here and I'm going to meet you down at the end, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so if you've finished all your single crochets, they should look like this. They just look like this when you push them through. They'll have this little bar right here, this little short bar, and you have these little V's on the top, and these will help you when you're counting your stitches. So in the swatch I did a couple rows of each, but for the purpose of this tutorial we're going to just do 1 row of each stitch so you can kind of get the gist of how to do each one. So that was the single crochet. So now we're going to move on to the front loop single crochet, which on here, this is the next one here. So this is what that kind of looks like when you do more than 1 row. Kind of creates this nice little bumpy ridge. So what you're going to do first is you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn your work. Now, I like to turn mine, and the best way to describe it is something I heard another YouTuber say, to turn it like you're turning a page in a book. It works best for me, but obviously you can use whichever method of turning your work works for you. This is just what works for me. Okay, so now that we've turned our work and we've chained 1, you're going to do exactly like it says. You're going to single crochet into the front loop only. So what you're going to do is take your hook, and if you look really close, you will see, oops, let me move my finger. If you look on your work at the top, having focusing problems today, you will see these, like I said, those V's. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stick our hook in this, what they call the front loop. So you have the front and the back loop. We're going to stick our hook in the front loop, which for us, it always is the part of the V that's facing you. So this would be the front loop and this would be the back loop. No matter which way your work is turned, this is the front loop and this is the back loop. So if you turn your work the other way, the front loop is always going to be the one that's closest to you. Okay? So with our work turned, tighten up your chain a little bit if it's come loose. And you're going to stick your hook into the front loop. So have it come up. So you're going to stick your hook into that front loop, and it should come up in between the V like this. Yarn over your hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, let's do that again. You're going to take your hook and insert it in the middle of the V there, in the front loop only. Yarn over your hook, pull through, yarn over your hook, and pull through 2. So we'll go ahead and do a couple more of these so you can kind of see how this works. And remember, I'm only going in the middle, in between the V, and wrapping that yarn over that front loop. The one that's facing you is the one that is the front loop, the one closest to you. And as you do this, you can kind of see how it is creating this ridge, and you'll feel it in your fingers. See how it's creating this ridge on the back? You can kind of feel it when you're doing it. It's actually kind of neat. It's a nice little stitch if you're making crocheted socks and that, or cuffs on a mittens. It works kind of nice. Let me pull out some more yarn here. So just keep going across, inserting your hook in between the V and pulling up that loop and making your single crochet. All right, I'll meet you back here in just a second. All right, so this is what it should look like. And it kind of curves in on itself, if you see, like it's kind of curving in. That is what happens. So a lot of times in amigurumi, you'll do the front or back loop, and it helps curve things. So if you're wanting something to curve or bend, you can use this stitch, and that will work really well. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the back loop single crochet, which is this one right here. And I mean, there's not really a big difference other than there's a more of a defined ridge, really, which is what I find. But the only difference in between the way you do this stitch is, instead of going into that front loop, we are now going to go into the back loop, which again, if you were making crocheted socks, you could alternate between the two. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and now you're going to stick your hook in between that loop, but you're going to go in from the top this time. So instead of coming up, let me focus, sorry. Focus, okay. So instead of going up and in between like that, we're going to go down and put our hook over that back loop, because that back loop's right here, and there's our front loop. And then yarn over, pull through, and then pull through 2. So that is how we're going to do that for this next stitch. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay. So again, we're going to stick our hook in between the V this time. Don't come up like this, because that's the front loop. In order to do the back loop, you have to stick your hook in the top, come out, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through 2. All right, so I'll do that one more time. Poke your hook through, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're just going to continue that right down the work. And just make sure you remember to go through the top and not the bottom, because going through the bottom causes a front loop instead of a back loop. And depending on your project, that could matter. I mean, if you're working on something that doesn't matter, then that's fine. But usually if it calls for a certain one, it definitely needs to have that. So you're just going to continue down, going into that back loop, and working your way across. I'll meet you back there in a second. Okay, so now we have our back loops complete. And you can see now it's trying to fold the other way. So like I said, if you alternate these back and forth, this would make a great ridge for like a cuff of something, a sock or a scarf or mittens. Gives it a nice texture. This is what the back looks like. And of course, this is the front side of our work. All right, so now that we've done those, we're now going to move on to the front and back loop crochet. And this is kind of what it looks like here. So there's a couple ways you can do this. Essentially, you can either just alternate rows, front and back loop, or you can do each stitch as a front and a back loop. So that's the one we're going to do for the purpose of this tutorial. So chain one and turn. Okay, so the first stitch we're going to do is a front loop single crochet. So remember, it comes down and in between, single crochet. And now go to the back and single crochet, and now to the front and single crochet, and again to the back. And we're just going to keep alternating this front and back all the way across. There's the front and the back. So each stitch is different. We go where this stitch is getting the front loop, and this stitch is getting the back loop. And again, it creates a cool little fun texture because you have these bumps on either side. And I just think it looks really kind of cool. So front loop, back loop. This would be a good stitch if you wanted to have a little bit of subtle ridges on your washcloths or dishcloths. I think that would be a fun thing to do. All right, so we're almost down to the end. We're just going to keep working those stitches. But yeah, it creates just this really cool ridgy effect. I really do think that would work really great with that scrubby yarn, maybe, when you're making washcloths. So we're going to go in the back loop. Oh, gotta pull some more yarn. Okay. Get my yarn out of the way. Front loop. Back loop. And front loop. Okay, so that is our front and back loop stitch. So we have row 1 is the single crochet, row 2 was the front loop, row 3 was the back loop, and row 4 was the front and back loop. So now we're going to move on to the next. All right, so the next stitch I had on our swatch was called the alternate single crochet. And actually, this is actually done in the exact same way as the way we just did the last row. So alternating the front and back loops. So you can either call it the alternate single crochet, or it can also be known as the front and back loop crochet. Either way, like I said, back and front loop crochet stitch can be done by alternating rows of front loop and then back loop. And then you have the alternate single crochet, which is alternating every stitch front and back loop. And again, you can see with a couple rows how nice and how this feels on, you know, on the texture. So next we're going to do the half double crochet. So we're going to pick up our work, and this time we're going to chain 2, turn. All right, so to do the half double crochet, you're going to take the yarn and yarn over your hook, and then place your hook into this stitch right here, because this is the turning chain. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 stitches. Again, yarn over, stick your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all 3 of those loops on your hook. One more time. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you're going to pull this string or yarn all the way through the 3 loops. Now this is actually one of my favorite stitches because it goes just as quickly as doing a double crochet. And I don't know, I just like it because I think it flows very nicely. All right, so we're going to continue doing that all the way down. You're going to take your hook, stick it through the stitch, pull through, and then pull through all. And I'm actually currently designing a pattern, and I'm using this half double crochet because, as you can see, it just flows very nicely on the hook. All right, I'll meet you back here in a second. All right, so we are now done with the half double crochets. And so now the next one on our list is the double crochet. And again, I know you probably know, most of you know how to do this, but for those who don't, I'm going to go ahead and quickly show you. So we're going to chain, I chain 2 or 3 depending on how you want. I'm going to do 2 for this purpose, but if sometimes they call for 3, but I just do 2. We're going to yarn over just like you would normally with the half double. You're going to stick your hook in the stitch and yarn over just like you would and pull up that loop. But this time, instead of pulling through all 3 of these loops on your hook, you're only going to pull through 2. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the other 2. And that's going to create a taller stitch, and sometimes this is also referred to as a post. So later we're going to get into stitches that call for front and back posts, and so that's what it's going to be referring to, is this post right here. The posts are easier seen on the double and the triple or the treble. It's a little bit harder to see the posts on the other stitches. So we're just going to pull through 2 and then pull through 2 more. Yarn over, stick your hook in the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to continue like this all the way down our swatch. And I'll meet you back down at the end. All right, so there's our swatch. We have our single crochet, our front loop, back loop, alternating front and back loop, half double, and double crochet. So the last stitch for this Stitch Weekly is the treble crochet. I don't use this stitch a lot. There are lots of patterns that call for it. I just have never made any patterns that call for it that often, but I know that it is a stitch that can be done. So we're going to go ahead and show you that today. And these are all just the basic stitches that most patterns use. So by knowing these stitches, you can do a lot. You can do an awful lot with like single crochet, because that is what most of the amigurumis and all of that type of stuff is made with. And as a beginner, it's a good stitch to work with. I also recommend the half double crochet stitch. I feel like that's a good beginner stitch as well, because it's not overwhelming and you get a nice look with it. All right, so we're going to do the treble crochet. So for this, we're going to chain 3 because we need to give that stitch some height, because it is going to be quite long. As you can see here in the example, the treble crochet is quite long. The post on it is quite long, whereas the double is not quite as long. So you need that height. So you chain 3 and turn your work, and then you're going to yarn over. You're going to yarn over twice, and then you're going to stick your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, and just like before, we're just going to pull through 2 at a time until we have our treble. So yarn over twice. Should look like this. Stick your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through. Now you should have this many stitches on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you have a treble. Again, wrap twice, stick your hook into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. And that is how you get your treble stitches. So we'll go ahead and work that all the way down and meet me back here in a second. So there you have it. There is the treble stitch right there. And so again, to recap, we did our single crochet here, our front loop, our back loop, our alternate back loop and front loop, our half double, our double crochet, and our treble crochet. So I want to thank you all for watching this basic Stitch Weekly tutorial. Like I said, this is going to be a new playlist on the channel, so I hope to have every week a new stitch variety posted. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share on social media with all your friends, or maybe if you have some friends that want to do cross stitch, or I'm sorry, cross stitch. I was thinking about something else. Crochet, or if they want to do cross stitch, I can do tutorials on that if you really would like it. You just have to let me know. So don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what you're working on. If you have any questions on the stitches, please make sure to let me know. You can either comment on this video or email me at sewwhathomeparty@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching, and just to let you know, we are getting close to that 300 subscriber mark. So when we do that, I will be having a giveaway. So stay tuned for that. And that is all I have for you today. So thank you so much for joining me on the launch of my new playlist. It's called Stitch Weekly, and thank you so much for watching. And as always, so what is in your craft room today?